In this video help, we're going to be covering the technical support data screen. We're going to cover the area here in the portal, and then we'll come back in the next video and cover these screens that you use to add and edit new records. So let's go ahead and start at the top. Obviously, this application uses a drop-down menu that offers each individual screen if you want to visit them and view, or in most cases not edit. You can edit over here on those screens. Typically, these are used for viewing the data in the portals or going to the list views where you want to do a find and locate certain information and group that information, either one individual record or several records, and then work those records or print them or review them. Each individual screen that you see here, which is a main screen, like the data screen, the supporting inventory, the purchase records, the vendor records, and the technical support library, and then the work order invoice. Those are the main screens, but they're also covered over here. Things like the work order invoice, you will be doing and entering information in that area for the work order invoice. So let's go ahead and start looking at some of the stuff that's here. Obviously, the popover is hidden by clicking or tapping on that button right here. There's another button just to the right. This button is called the Do Action button. You select an action that you want to do. Now, on one or two of the buttons here at the very bottom, there's a Sort button where it's appropriate on that screen where you'd be sorting data would be in a list view or in a report. Typically, that's where they would be. Let's go ahead and look at what's in these here. There's a Start a Find. For example, if I click on this, you'll see when I start a find, it puts all these little magnifying glasses all over the screen. Now, one of the things I want to point out is that you cannot do a find within a portal record or records. The reason for that is these are multi-line records, and in order to do a find, you have to go into the portal, which is on this button, to go to the individual screens for the portals, and then you would do your finds in there to make a collection of records. When you add data to a find, you pick whatever field you want to do, one or more. For example, if you put in a name or say, for example, a date or maybe a company name, or you can combine any of the fields that you see here in the screen for stuff that you're looking for. You can go to a city or a company name or address and stuff like that, combining whatever you need in order to find the record. Typically, on most finds, it's usually something like the contact name, which would be the client or the client company, and then maybe a date. That would be the typical things you'd probably see people use. Now, if I click on the Do Find, if you have anything in the fields, that's what would be shown as far as that record is concerned. If it has something that covers a number of fields, then that would show all the records for that particular set of information you put in there. By pushing the Perform Find, you'll get a dialog that comes up. And in this particular case, since we didn't enter anything in the fields, you can either cancel or you can press the Modify Find and go back in and then add data if you want to. In this case, I'm just going to say cancel, and you can see that it brings the original data record that you're in back on the screen. The next thing is, this is a relational database that uses an ID. Each new client that you put in has got his own individual ID. In this particular case, if I wanted to add a number of different things that we did for this client, I would go down through the area here and keep on adding whatever it is that we're going to be doing. In the particular case of each technical item ID, you would have the tech guy's name, whoever that would be, or gal, a support status, which is a drop down that can be edited. You can edit anything you want in here. You could either use the current ones that are in there, or you can go ahead and add your own. When you click on edit, it'll pop it up, and you can sort them, put them in whatever order you want to, and then add a new one. Or you can actually put in, say, for example, a new work order. You might want to put a line under it to divide that, or something along that line, so that when you see it now and you go to the work order, to back off on the status, you'll see that there's a separation line. So you can separate them in whatever way you want to as far as how they're going to be used. The next thing is a support issue detail. Now, in this case, we're doing a short description of a defect or something that needs to be serviced. But the short pardon me, this support issue detail is this popover. And when it pops up, you have a recommendation as far as what's going to be taken care of, as far as the detailed data about how and what has to be repaired. You do the product data, whatever information you need to put in there, and then you can put the part information and description of the item that you're working with in that row. For example, if you're going in and you're going to do something on a air conditioning system and you have, say for example, an evaporator that needs to be serviced for whatever reason, maybe damaged, or maybe the motor for the fan needs to be repaired, or the fan's broken, you would put that in the individual rows in the screen back here in the portal. And in the particular recommendations, this is the notes about what needs to be serviced and how you want to service it for that particular item. Now in the image, you can have a single image or you can have, say for example, a PDF file. For example, if I go in here and on this and I want to go ahead and change the record, or I want to scroll through it or whatever, I can go ahead and scroll this and you'll see that it's a multi-page PDF that's in there currently. But I can also drop in a picture. I could put in there say some data, maybe as far as an image of say a servicing item or a step that's being done as far as this particular product is concerned. So it's pretty flexible about what you're doing as far as the individual row. Now, in the case of the portal itself, when you want to view a record, you would click on this button. We'll be covering the portal separately so you can see the information when we get to that point. Let's go ahead and talk about what's up at the very top. The tech sees an issue in the global sense when they add the information here. Say, for example, let's go back to the air conditioning thing that we offered. An initial issue for the field support work order is whatever. Air conditioning is failing to turn on the fan, or the evaporator has damage to the screen or whatever as far as the front. It looks like a radiator is what it actually looks like, but if it had damage on it, it was causing some problems. That would be the initial thing that would go in up here as far as the contact tech issue. When you're contacted by Mr. Smith and he has an issue, and the support date that you're actually going out and the time that you're scheduling it would be added here. And in this particular case, it's 1:33 in the afternoon is when he started the tech work on this date. Over here, you'd have the products supported in general. Say like this is a General Electric air conditioning system, and that would be what the basic thing is as far as the service and the service area. The client's email, so you can contact him. You have the client company name, in this case, if it's a company. Their cell phones, the client's phone and the cell phone if he has one. The address, city, state, province, and city. Zip and postal, that's for multiple countries so that the countries can have their own approach like province and postal. And then over here is a support note follow-up. And basically what this is if you go and do an inspection and you don't have the correct parts, you can put in there what it is that you have to do. And this scrolls so it can have a lot of information as far as what you need to have in there. So that is the initial entries that you would be making in the screen as far as the main data. Now, what happens is if you're coming back to this particular client on a subsequent work order, you would go ahead and create another new record. And remember, we're working with the ID as a tech ID. The tech ID is a numeric number for the work order that you're working on. The items that you're actually working through as far as the individual items would be here. And these would be the items that you're addressing on the work order itself. Now this is just the individual things that you're going to work on as the tech. And then the work order invoices where you would actually break down what services, what parts, and what labor items or outside services that you're putting in on the invoice. And that invoice would be what would be used for the billing. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and explain this next section over here with the pop-ups on the next video. If you do have any questions on any screen, or you just have questions in general, you can get a hold of us at the chat area on our main website, which is one phrase, it's ontargetsolutions.biz. And of course you have to put the HTTP :// if you're going to address us on the chat. And please, when you when you contact us, if we're not available, please leave a email address so that we can contact you back and then address the issues that you might be having or the knowledge factors that you need to know about, where we can answer questions right back to you. Typically, we answer questions within 1 hour on weekdays. If you're contacting us and you start a chat, typically we can start the chat immediately if we're not answering questions for other clients. Thank you.